Welcome to the carnage.
And welcome back to the carnage, everybody. You guys read the title, you read the description, so you know what today's video is about. Just going to touch a little bit on something before we jump in. Hit 2,500 subscribers. Couldn't have done it without you guys. I am absolutely just so thrilled and humbled, and I just wanted to thank all of you for everything. You are the backbone of this channel, and I appreciate every single one of you. And so let's go ahead and see if we can't figure out where have all the good men gone.
It's not often that an opinion piece resonates with me, but this essay by Rachel Drucker that appeared in this past weekend's Modern Love column in the New York Times really did. The first premise is that men have retreated both from dating and intimacy, but even from socializing entirely. And to be honest, that's the experience that I've observed since I got back on the dating scene after a relationship I was in ended abruptly and badly a year ago. The essay opens with one of Drucker's observations. She was in downtown Chicago and walking around on a beautiful summer night and noticed that there were tables of women who were engaged in festive celebration. There were even women out by themselves. Very few people appeared to be on dates, and there were very few men present. When it comes to dating, Drucker observes that men seem to be content to go back and forth with emojis and trading pictures and liking Instagram posts instead of actually going out on a face-to-face date. Lack of physical contact even has Drucker longing for the days of a hookup. A lot of this was accurate. My experience on the apps has been very similar, with endless texting and exchanges of photos and how was your day, and never getting together in person. And I've tried to meet new people organically by going to meetup groups like hikes or dinners, and I also started playing pickleball. And most of those activities are about 70 to 80% women. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm engaging in these activities because I enjoy them and not just to meet a guy. But it is nice to have a mix of genders in a social setting. It just brings more energy, I think, in different perspectives. It's disappointing to go out to these activities and have them be so heavily dominated by one gender. Especially for someone like me who's been accustomed to having guy friends. I have at least a half dozen good male friends, maybe more, from different parts of my life, and it would be nice to meet some new ones in addition to meeting new women friends. If you haven't seen this article, take a look at it. It's an interesting perspective, and I'd love to hear your views on whether you agree or not and whether it reflects your experience.
So I read that article, and honestly, the take is the typical, female point of view, which is, that men are just happy, in their own little world, or their hobbies or whatever, and this, that, and the other. And to a degree, yes, that is accurate. Most men are very happy being who they are, doing what they love, and that's what they put their time and effort into because they get something back out of it, right? So the reason you're not finding men out anymore is that it's a danger to men in society, period, to be out in these settings for two main reasons. One is that the risk versus reward, right? Is at any given time, any woman in this particular setting could say, oh, he essayed me, or he harassed me, or, if he were to look at a woman walk by, there'd be 5 or 6 women with cameras. Did you just see what this male chauvinist asshole did? He just looked at her butt, and you're blasted on the internet for something as simple as just, checking a woman out, right? And I'm not sure when that became illegal, because that's typically, human behavior. You see somebody attractive and you're like, dang, god damn, that's your first go-to. And the second point to that is, ladies, you chose the bear, right? You said you'd be much more, satisfied and feel much more safe with a bear than you would with a man. So we heard you, and we are just trying to stay away from you so you and the bear can have a wonderful life.
I just had an epiphany, and I feel so stupid right now. I was sitting here thinking to myself, I'm like, where have all the good men gone? I can't find them. Every dude I talk to either ain't got a job, ain't got a car, ain't got nothing going on. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, where are all the good men? Work! They have jobs! You know where they're not? At Goodwill at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, like me, after writing my silly little songs all day. So if that means I gotta post up at the Mapco at 5 a.m. looking hot to bag me a hardworking man, Mapco, get ready. You about to get a show.
And so there you go. If she doesn't have a job, her basic life, is she wakes up, she does what she wants. She apparently sings, songs and posts on TikTok, and that's her life. And believe it or not, I mean, men aren't going to resonate with that with you, and you're right. They are working, right? I have a full-time job. I work anywhere between 50 and 60 hours a week, and that's the majority of my time right there is going to work. So outside of that, yeah, men are tired, and why would a man after working 60 hours in a week, on the weekend go, hey, you know what? I'm going to get, gussied up, so to speak, and I'm going to go out and put myself into these situations that honestly the risk reward isn't there. I'm just going to stay home and watch some football, maybe work on my basement, do something constructive with my time.
I did this crazy thing yesterday where I went out into the wild and I talked to men. I know. I needed proof that the men in the comment sections of my videos, the ones that leave horrendous comments, didn't represent how all men think. So I asked 6 men, 2 in their 20s, 1 in his 40s, 1 in his 50s, and 2 in their 70s, if they've ever held a door for a woman and if she's ever yelled at them for it. And they all said yes. If you're a woman and you're yelling at a man in public for holding the door for you, shame on you. Men hold the door for me every day, all different places. And you know what I say? Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful day. And that is the only reasonable response. Anyway, I asked these guys, as a result of that, do you no longer hold doors for women? To which they all replied, no. One said, just because she's crazy doesn't mean I am. Another said, just because she has no standards doesn't mean that I don't. And the last one said, she's a woman. I'm a man. That's how I was raised. I will continue to hold doors for women. And so my social experiment is done, and the men in the comment section can just stay in the comment section.
So, yeah, I think every man at some point in the last, I'd say 5-10 years since all of this has become, so in your face, just everyday type of crap. Every man who has ever held a door open for a woman at least once has been yelled at by a woman saying like, it's typically the same speech. Like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need no man for anything. I don't ever hold a door open for a woman again, is what they tell us. And yes, there's a lot of men out there that are like, psh, whatever, shut up, bitch, and they'll continue opening doors for women. However, there's also a large proportion of men that have been yelled at too many times where they're like, you know what, fuck it, I'm done. I'm not doing this anymore. Not going to even put in an ounce of chivalry because it's dead, and women don't respond to it. They don't respect it. They don't admire it. And instead, I just get yelled at for trying to be a good person.
Women have a really unhealthy relationship with sex right now. When women stopped holding themselves to a standard, so did men. They ask me all the time, where have all the good men gone? Ironically, good men say the same thing. Where have all the good women gone? Women have been held on such a high standard by all healthy civilizations since the dawn of time. Women would redeem us. Women were something that we were willing to fight and die for, to protect. They brought this virtue and they brought this light and this goodness and this spirituality into the lives of men so that we would elevate them to something higher than ourselves. When women traded that for the mess of pottage that's feminism, they traded the interest of men. They were now, for lack of a better analogy, a bathroom stall that every trucker can go into and just scratch his name on the side of the wall. There's no longer that virtue to it. There's no longer that beauty that made women what they were, that gave men pause, where we'd stop and look at them and be like, I'm going to change my life for that person. When women traded that divine birthright for this bullshit feminist, fuck every fuckboy and that's what empowers you. When they traded that, they also traded the sacred nature with which men treated them. And if you want to see how you measure up...
Yeah, no, he's absolutely right, 100%, is that when you look at it that way, what do men aspire in a relationship to be to a woman if everything that was great about women has become diluted, and that you can almost assume, without even asking them, just by the way they act or the way they look, the way they talk, whatever, that they've probably been ran through by at least 100 chads, right? And then all women hit this type of wall where they're like, okay, I'm done doing that. Now what I want is some type of stability and security from a man. But by that time, it's too late. The good men are either taken, they're not looking, or you've done way too much damage to yourself to where you are damaged goods. And men know this. And so they're not going to, accept that type of behavior from a woman.
I hear a lot of women say things such as, where are all the good men gone? Or that they want to be in a relationship with an awakened masculine man. And this is great. But the reality is that you are not going to attract a man like that in your life unless you are at his level. And when I say at his level, I don't mean financially, I don't mean employment status, I don't mean looks. I mean at his level, at his frequency, his energetic frequency. An awakened masculine man has done the work. He is at a level where he is comfortable in his skin. He is driven with purpose, and he is only going to look at or embark on a relationship with a woman who has done her own inner work, who has tended to her ancestral and generational wounds, who is comfortable in her feminine energy. An awakened masculine man will not just settle for any type of woman. He will look and find an awakened feminine woman.
Yeah, honestly, I would say the most thing that men find attractive in women is them being feminine. And a lot of women today act way more masculine than they do feminine, and a lot of men, that's an automatic turn off. It's just something ingrained in our DNA as men that, you would, in your own mind, if you dated a woman like that, you would think, you know what, she's just so masculine. I feel like I'm dating one of my friends, and this is just not going to work for me. And so there are women out there that do have that feminine energy and they know how to use it, but those women are manipulators in a lot of ways, right? So the Only Freak girls are a perfect example of that. They all act feminine, on camera and all that, but you can just tell the manipulation that's there.
Howdy. Millennial man here with a question. I don't know if I'm a millennial. I'm 28. I think I fall like right in the middle. I also don't care about that stuff. Anyway, my question, which isn't really a question, it's more of a thought, I guess. I don't know. I was just thinking, I could have swore like 2 to 4 years ago, all women were talking about in the dating scene was how over-controlling men were in relationships. It was just our insecurities that we didn't want you to have a guy best friend. Or it's just, us projecting our low self-esteem onto you if we didn't want you to go to a Vegas pool party with just, you and 6 single girls and a bunch of random dudes. Or no, it's just over-controlling for us to want to post you on our social media. We were marking our territory. Flash forward to today, and the question is just, where have all the men gone? Men with standards and men who set boundaries and, men who know what they want. I don't know. I feel like we're all just kind of playing this game of dating musical chairs, and men are just kind of always left standing, constantly playing catch up. And the men who are just kind of over the game, they just quit. They went and bought a dog. We were just done with it. And the ones that stayed, they shifted how they played the game so that they played the game the same as you. Except by that time, the rules had already changed. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with him that a lot of the men who are in the dating pool right now are the exact men that the woman population basically doesn't want, obviously. But they're the women are the ones who dictated those men left playing the game, right? They said, we don't want men who have standards. We don't want men to be controlling. We don't want men to, say, hey, I don't want you to go do this because here's what could happen, right? And I did this once with a girlfriend of mine. She had a couple male friends. I didn't like that. So I, brought it up to her. I'm like, hey, I'm not a big fan of this at all. And, I got oh, you're just an asshole. You're controlling, blah, blah, blah. So what I did was I ended up getting a female friend, which was heavily attractive, right? And I started spending a lot of time with this woman just to show her how it felt. Within a month, she was accusing me of cheating. She was accusing me of trying to replace her with this woman, this, that, and the other. And I was like, now you see exactly how we feel, right? And I swear, man, if you do that to a woman, I guarantee you it's going to happen the exact same way it happened to me. They're going to get fucking jealous. They're going to get mad. They're going to get catty. They're going to think that this woman is trying to take you from her. And the second you are like, this is exactly how I feel, their accountability just goes out through the window, right? Well, you're a man. All men want to do is have sex. All men want to do is fuck. and that they use that. They'll use that excuse. So it's different for me because I'm not out here trying to sleep with these guys. It's like, no, it's the exact same thing. You're just full of shit. So
Can somebody explain something to me, please? I want to know where all of the good men have gone. Where are all of the chivalrous men? Where are they? Because I just went into Circle K with a stroller, right? And there was nobody around except for the guy at the counter. And he's just staring at me as I'm struggling trying to get through the entrance. Struggling. Because there's no like handicapped, push button where it opens. And I'm just like trying to get the stroller in there. And he's just staring at me. And then to top it off, another man walks in as I'm walking out of Circle K, watches me struggle again getting out of Circle K as I'm opening the door and trying to push the stroller through. What is going on? Where have all the good men gone? Where? Why? I just don't understand. There's no like kindness anymore. Where has all the kindness gone? I don't know what to say. You guys have a good day. Hopefully better than mine. Bye!
So kindness, I mean, you women threw that out the window when you said, you're all strong, independent women. You don't need men. I've been hearing, I don't know, for countless years at this point, the last 5, 6, 7 years, that a lot of women just want men to disappear. And, that question's been brought up. What would happen if all the men disappeared? And all these women, all these feminist women are like, oh my God, our lives would be so good. I'd be able to walk outside, topless, and I'd be able to go on walks at night without being scared. And that's the first thing that they go to, right? And then you turn around and you're mad at us because you wanted equality, which you got. And now you want us to go out of our way to assist you and help you and still be a chivalrous traditional man while you are going to be just basically a fuck up, right? And I'm supposed to take on that debt, that moral debt, because you want to play these stupid games? No. Ask the fucking bear. I'm sure the bear will help you with that stroller. But what do you guys think as men? Are you guys out here, still trying to date, or have you come to the same conclusion I have, that it's just not worth it? I'm so thankful that I have a great wife. I would move mountains for that woman. I would arm wrestle a bear for that woman. I would do anything for her because she's an amazing woman. And I don't think that if I was single today, there's any way, shape, or form I'd be in the dating scene. Absolutely not. I would be 100% as far away from that shit as I possibly can. But let me know what you guys think in the comment. If you get a chance, hit like, subscribe, comment down below. And if not, that's okay too. We'll catch you on the next video.